And before you know it, a car just rolled up, started popping in the car. Didn't say nothing, didn't yell nothing. Pop, 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 pop. Everybody got down in the truck, so that shit stopped. We all hopped out. Everybody door open but big door. You know, we all went and got on the back of the truck and just like.
The other vehicle pulls up alongside, and the driver shoots numerous times into the vehicle.
At about 12:30 a.m. on the 9th of March 1997, Biggie Smalls left the Vibe Party at the Peterson Automotive Museum. Biggie got into the front passenger seat of a GMC SUV as he and his entourage were heading to another party in Beverly Hills. And by 12:45 a.m., Biggie's caravan stopped at a red light on the intersection of South Fairfax Avenue. At the same time, a black Chevy Impala parks right next to where Biggie was sitting. Biggie was hit 4 times, but it was only the final bullet that was fatal. Still, that's all it took to take him from us.
Early today, as he left a party in Los Angeles, Wallace, also known as Biggie Smalls, was shot from a passing vehicle. He had been named Rap Artist of the Year at the Billboard Awards in 1995. He was considered a rival of West Coast rapper Tupac Shakur.
The final bullet entered through his right hip and struck his colon, heart, liver, and left lung. Biggie was killed 6 months after Tupac was also murdered. And you could say Biggie's shooting was 6 months in the making. You could say Biggie's death was already being planned from the moment Tupac was pronounced dead.
Hi, I'm Tabitha Soren, and this is The Week in Rock. Trouble-plagued rapper and actor Tupac Shakur is dead at the age of 25, just about a week after sustaining 4 bullet wounds last Saturday night in Las Vegas. Shakur spent the weekend in the hospital on a respirator in critical condition.
You already know that Biggie and Pac actually began as friends. First time they met was when Biggie visited LA in 1993, and after this first meeting, they pretty much became homies. Biggie would sleep on Pac's couch whenever he was in LA, and whenever Pac was in New York, he'd come pick up Biggie in his white limousine, and they would just have a good time.
You ready, nigga? Yeah. Ready for that raw dog shit, nigga?
I'm on the underground, man.
Okay, all right. Let me see how I'm gonna hit you with. You wanna set it off?
Yeah, I'm scared to do some freestyle.
Sometimes Pac ended up shooting dice with Biggie and the locals in Brooklyn, and there was a time Tupac even came with a garbage bag full of weed. Then Biggie, Pac, and all the boys from Junior Mafia smoked everything while talking and chilling.
Money, holes, and clothes. Blood smoke coming out the nose.
Tupac was already a famous rapper, but Biggie was mostly popular in Brooklyn. Pac wanted Biggie to be a part of his Thug Life group, so he was very intentional about Biggie's career growth. At some point, Biggie was frustrated with Bad Boy Records because he felt his career wasn't progressing as fast as he expected. Biggie was ready to ditch Diddy and make Pac his manager. This just tells you how close these two icons were. Pac declined the offer and asked Biggie to stay with Diddy. However, Biggie and Pac's bromance started to dissipate into a rivalry, partly because of the rivalry between Suge Knight and Diddy.
One other thing I'd like to say, any artist out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the video, all on the record, dancing. Come to Death Row.
You know, I was just networking with the brother, you know, and so when he had said, I was like, whoa, I definitely feel where that's coming from. I know that what? Yeah. Are they crazy?
The incident at the Source Awards was what began the famous East Coast-West Coast beef. But Biggie and Pac were still cool at the moment. However, what turned Tupac and Biggie into enemies was when Pac was robbed of $40,000 in New York. Tupac was at Quad Studios in Times Square to record a verse with a rapper called Lil Sean. Biggie was in one of the other studios in the same building. Pac was shot 5 times, twice in the head, once in his left hand, and twice in the groin area. He and his manager were robbed of jewelry worth $40,000. He managed to survive, but he believed Biggie and Diddy were responsible for his robbery, especially because he believed the men who robbed him were members of Biggie's security team.
And niggas did things that they know they wasn't supposed to do. They know in their heart. That's why they get hell now. Right. They can't sleep. That's why they telling all the reporters and all the people, why they doing this? They fucking up hip-hop, because they in hell. They can't make money, they can't go anywhere, they can't look at themselves, because they know the prodigal son has returned. I'm alive. The ghost is walking around.
Biggie and Pac were now no longer friends.
Stay to yourself. Trust nobody. Trust nobody after God. You know what I mean? Straight up. My closest friends did me in. My closest friends, my homies, people who I done took care of their whole family. I done took care of everything for them, looked out for them, put them in the game, everything. Turned on me. Fear is stronger than love. Remember that.
And when Pac was shot on the 7th of September 1996, Suge Knight believed that their East Coast rivals ordered the shooting. There is a weird similarity in the way Biggie and Pac were killed, just in the same manner. Biggie was shot, Tupac and Suge were also waiting for a red light when he was clipped. Suge and Pac were in a BMW sedan when a Cadillac pulled up right next to them. The shooter was seated in the back and Pac was hit 4 times, once in the thigh, 1 in the arm, twice in the chest. But Suge was lucky as his head was only grazed by a bullet. Suge saw the shooter but refused to share any information with the feds when he was asked any questions. Other members of Death Row also refused to cooperate with the authorities. If you don't know what that means, it means they were going to deal with this in the streets. Suge wanted street justice. He wanted blood for blood. And this is why I mentioned that the death of Biggie Smalls was 6 months in the making. After the death of Tupac, Suge Knight had several issues with the law, and he was serving time in FCI Sheridan. But being behind bars didn't stop Suge from carrying out his plans. According to retired LAPD detective Greg Caddian, Suge was still calling shots even while in prison. Caddian was assigned to Biggie's case in 2006 after all evidence about the murder had gone cold. Suge started meeting a woman who posed as a legal assistant whenever she visited him. This allowed them to have conversations without anyone listening. But rather than getting legal advice for his case, Suge was planning another murder of his own.
Time that Biggie Smalls was killed, Suge Knight was in the county jail. So in order for him to communicate with somebody on the street, he had to go through an intermediary, which was this female who was visiting him in jail.
Now, I'm not going to mince words with you. I'm just going to give it to you straight. Suge wanted Biggie dead. But to order a murder from county jail isn't easy, and to kill someone like Biggie takes time. This is why Suge had several meetings with his legal assistant. Suge was very specific about what he wanted, and he knew he couldn't just have anyone to carry out the hit.
This LAPD statement says, quote, during more than one of these visits, Knight instructed blank to help him coordinate the murder of Christopher Wallace.
So Suge requested a man who everyone knew in the streets was a real hitter. Suge chose the man known as Poochie. Poochie is also known as Wardell Faust, and also as Darnell Bolton. Poochie was a member of the mob Piru Bloods. Suge allegedly agreed to pay $13,000 for the hit.
He said that Suge told her, I want you to get a hold of Poochie, figure out what type of money it's going to cost, and tell him that this is what I want done. So she then, there's a series of meetings. She goes and meets with Poochie. They agree on an amount. Suge makes the arrangement for that money to get transferred. She pays Poochie, and he goes and sets himself up at the Peterson Auto Museum and shoots and kills Biggie.
Suge and Poochie have always got along well together. The two can be seen with other friends in this picture. And Biggie isn't the first rapper that Suge had ordered Poochie to kill. He also ordered him to kill the rapper known as Rat Dog. Rat was once the bodyguard to Muhammad Ali and Michael Jackson. Suge gave Poochie the order, and Poochie waited till March 1997 to carry out the hit. After attending the Soul Train Awards, Biggie decided to wait for the Vibe after party. But on the day of the party, Gene Deal, who was Puff's security, told him that he had been informed that someone was going to come for them at the party. However, Diddy and Big didn't take this warning seriously. They had been in LA for over a month and nothing had happened, so they had a false sense of security. When Biggie Smalls and Puffy left the after party, they took separate cars. Diddy was in the vehicle before Biggie's own, while Biggie was in the car with D-Rock. The driver was G-Money, and the last person in the car was Little Cease. Poochie was waiting in his Chevy Impala at a curb on South Fairfax Avenue. And after the caravan passed by, he started following the car. Puffy's car blazed past the traffic light, but Biggie waited at the red light. Poochie drove right next to Big's car immediately they stopped at the red light.
Didn't say nothing, didn't yell nothing. Everybody got down in the truck, so that shit stopped. We all hopped out. Everybody door open but Big door. We all went and got on the back of the truck and and then we all peeked, looked around. Big door went open. We all ran back to Big. He was slumped over the console, and by that time, his truck had came back around.
Biggie was hit 4 times, and he died at 1:15 a.m. at the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. But what makes this story even more interesting is that after the death of Biggie, Suge Knight stated to TMZ that Tupac is still alive.
Why you think nobody been arrested if they said they the one killed Tupac?
Because they're snitching to the police, so they ain't
not
gonna get
just
arrested.
to snitch and be smart, son. Because Tupac not
ain't
dead.
as smart as you should be.
Tupac not dead. If he was dead, they'd be arresting those dudes for murder. You know he's somewhere smoking a Cuban cigar on the island somewhere. You know what I mean?
And it doesn't end here. Suge even stated that Tupac wasn't even the target that led to Pac's death. Suge claims that he had known for years that Death Row's former head of security, Reggie Wright, and Suge's ex-wife, Sharitha, ordered the hit on his car. Suge claims that he was the target of the shooting and that his ex-wife and former bodyguard wanted him dead so that they could control Death Row Records. So if you gotta wonder, if Suge knew all this, why then did he now pay for Biggie to be killed?